This is the time where you want to roll up your sleeves, do the work, and use MarketSmith. I've been using MarketSmith in some form or another. When you go all the way back to the 1980s into 1990, I was using daily graphs, which is just the first version of MarketSmith in paper version. Now it's 100 times more powerful. You've got so many more tools. So here's the first thing I want to mention about screening, because everybody always wants to know, what are my screening parameters and this magic screen. The thing about screening is the first rule you have to think is less is more. Okay, because think about this, if you put, let's just say you had, all the criteria, the earnings, the sales, the margins, you put all the criteria in there, and let's say there's 100 criteria. If you miss on one criteria, then you don't see the stock. So the more you put in, the more you're increasing your chances that you're going to filter out a name that might meet 30 criteria, but it doesn't meet one criteria. So I actually screen much more narrowly, and then I go through them manually, and I look at those the fundamentals, and I start, I roll up my sleeves and I do the work myself, sort of the old-fashioned way. So the way I do it, the way I use the screens is I'll run a relative strength screen. I'll run a screen that has the stocks in an uptrend, and we'll get to that in a minute. And I'll run the relative strength screen, and then I'll sort. I'll use the sorting function, which is a very simple thing, but it's extremely powerful. So if you wanted to find, say, the Bill O'Neill stocks, you run the high RS stocks. Maybe you run everything over 80, and you make sure you run my trend template, make sure they're all in an uptrend. Now you can hit the sort function right there and just sort under composite rating. And now that's going to give you the stocks that have the earnings, have the sales, have all the criteria, Cancelam criteria. Now, you want to trade like Mark Minervini? Mark Minervini trades very similar to that, only I'm in search of whatever's moving. Like, I'm not, even if it doesn't have earnings, if it's a biotech, I'm trading whatever's moving. I started trading for a living. It was like I had to make money every day. So I got into the habit of trading whatever was hot, at that time. So I cast my net wider. So I would sort by relative strength, and I would look at the strongest stocks first, and then I would categorize them and take a look and say, okay, well, if there's no earnings, well, maybe it's a biotech, and then I would of course cut it some slack on the earnings, because most biotechs don't have earnings. So again, this is now you can screen, you could sort under the SMR rating, you can sort under the percentage closest to the highs, to the 52-week high. You want to have stocks that are making new highs. The sorting functions, I think, are very underrated. Let's just put it that, or underused. And that's really a major part of my screening is just using the sort. The whole key is to take the market down to the very best names and increase your odds by stacking the odds, and that's what MarketSmith is the best tool there is out there, second to an institutional William O'Neill tool. And for the money, it's the best bang for the buck for sure. And like I said, I've been using it for 30 years. So it's I'm not sure what I would do without MarketSmith and daily graphs, because I started using it, I cut my teeth on daily graphs when we got the printed products and just flipped through the pages every week. This is a great place to start, particularly if you're just starting to use MarketSmith. Now, I've been doing this for 40 years, and I've been using MarketSmith in some form or another for over 30. So, and I'm still using the exact same methods that I've used from day one, a little more automated now. So you still don't want to get too complicated, even if you're advanced. All right. As a matter of fact, you may want to actually dumb it down. If maybe you're too advanced and you're trying to overcomplicate it, and you bring it down to, using the sort functions, like I'm saying, and widen your net a bit. But if you're just starting, this is going to put you in the direction where you're focusing on the very best name.
Do you look at daily first, weekly second? Do you use both time frames? How does your kind of routine analysis jump in at this point?
I look at daily first, and I always look at a weekly. So I want both charts to look good. The other sort function that is absolutely worth its weight in gold in MarketSmith is the IPO date. So that's another, I run a specific screen just for IPOs. And all I do is just say, IPOs in the last year, and then I sort them. Again, the sort function, I sort them in date of the earliest first. And then I hit the space bar, and you'll get the most recent, and it'll just keep elongating, and the charts will get longer and longer and longer. And you'll see pretty much everything that has been an IPO in the most recent, year. So the reason why you want to do that is because these are what I call magnitude opportunities, where it's the earliest you can get on board, other than, pre-IPO or on the IPO day. And when you look at the biggest winning stocks, most of them, 80% of them, were IPOs within the previous 8 years or so. So that's why they're relatively new companies. The stocks that make really big moves are usually relatively new companies, or at least new stocks. Like Krispy Kreme, has been around forever, and it went public, after it was a company for I don't know how many years. But some companies are companies for 50 years and then they go public. But they're since they went IPO, 80% of the big winners are IPO within the previous 8 years. A couple things. One is that this program, this tool, MarketSmith, is extremely powerful. I could stay on here for hours and go through so many ways, but 98% of everything I do is you just saw. It really encompasses, that's going to lead you to all the names that you need to see. So you want to keep it simple. It's really important. Once a week is going to give you, not that much is going to change throughout the week. However, of course, some things will slip through the cracks, of course, throughout the week. I screen the big screening on the weekend, and then I do lighter screening throughout the week. And it depends. If the market's doing really good, there's lots of stock showing up, then I'm going to do more screening, and I'm going to start trying to turn over more stones. When you're in a bear market and there's just nothing coming up, after doing this for 40 years, sometimes I know, there's really I'm not going to find a whole lot here. Everything's in a downtrend. Not much is coming up on the trend template. So, I'm looking a little bit lighter, but yeah, I screen, every day. I screen every day, some screening every day, pretty much. And that's what you should be doing, running those screens. With MarketSmith, the way it is now, it takes just a few minutes, and it might take you 30 minutes to thumb through them. I love the feature that you guys added, where on the iPad, you could actually have multiple charts now, and you can have multiple time frames. So you can have the daily, the weekly, and you just scroll through them. If you haven't used that yet, take a look on the iPad. It's a great feature. I use it on my phone, right on my phone. I mean, sometimes I'm at dinner, and and there's I got a little bit of time where I'm waiting, to be seated, and I start flipping through on my phone and start looking, running my screens. You can run your screens right on your phone. So that's why it's a great program.
What's your daily routine like? What do you do typically in a normal trading day?
So I do all my screening the night before. So when I come in to trade that day, I already know the stocks that are on deck, the stocks that are, have buy points, and I've really made all those decisions. I've already added my in the morning, I put in my alerts. I have audio and visual alerts. They'll pop up if the stock starts moving through a pivot point, breaking out to new highs. I'll get an alert, and then immediately I can trade that. So I prep the night before, and then when I go into the trading day, I pretty much have everything mapped out, and I do that. My final alerts are set in the morning, and then I just take a look, where my open positions are, and I'll readjust my stops if I need to, and that all happens, pre-market.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching Investors Business Daily on YouTube. If you want to watch more videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.